I've been seeing news reports lately about how in this region or that city, the rate of new cases of COVID-19 is leveling off. And that might seem like great news, but you have to consider it in context in that there is still COVID-19 around, and there are still people and regions around that have yet to see the COVID-19. So leveling off is a very local thing. Uh, you could say that that area might be just saturated, so there's no place left for the virus to go. But even leveling off doesn't mean that. Leveling off means is it's not climbing, not that there aren't continuing new cases. Uh, COVID-19 almost certainly started with one person somewhere having the virus, the current virus, transmitted to them by some animal. And from that one person, presumably last year, it has spread to the entire world. And in my country, the United States, to every state in the Union. And uh, that one person, one case, started that all in months. I don't know for sure, but it certainly escalated quickly. And when you think that if you become lax in the measures we're all taking to isolate ourselves, social distancing, uh, stay put, stay at home, that if we become lax in that based on things like reports that's saying somewhere it seems to be leveling off, we're going to get in trouble because somewhere, it's one person somewhere who becomes lax, who is infected and takes a trip somewhere and then starts a new pocket, a new area of infection, and the numbers start going back up again and extremely quickly back up in those particular regions. The overall numbers might not seem to be going up much, but that pocket of newly acquired virus zooms up. So, as I said, we should not get lax about these things based on news reports, based on a private study. I continue to feel and want to tell everybody that you need to go back to the source. In my country, the CDC's. Uh, that is who is trying their best to get a handle on, keep a handle on this pandemic. And they are the ones who are also giving recommendations for people. So until you hear from the CDC that, okay, you can go out now and play, then I would suggest you not do it. Do not go out and become lax in your efforts to keep this virus limited. Because if everyone all of a sudden became lax and just started running around, uh, almost certainly that virus would end up uh, would end up being exposed. Every person would be exposed to that virus on the entire planet, and that's the worst case. And it's not the end of the species because people survive it, but it's going to mean that anybody who is susceptible to it is going to get sick, and the people that are most susceptible to it are going to get sickest and possibly die. So we really need to keep our standard of care, of concern for ourselves and of others at its maximum and not retreat from that until you hear from the source, and as I said, the CDC for the United States. Uh, there's one thing I'm trying to get a handle on, but I don't have the data. I don't have the number crunching ability, but I would love to see let's just say the United States, a map, and I have seen tables of this on various websites, but a map of the whole country showing in as a small breakdown of regional areas as possible, let's say counties or towns. I've seen county numbers in tables, but get a map that shows how many cases per million population there are in that particular region. That will give us a sense of the worst cases that are currently going on, and the fact that there's no reason other regions which have not yet reached that higher level of cases per million people, there's really no reason that they could not eventually reach that level unless we practice those smart measures, simple measures to keep ourselves isolated. Isolated from others so we don't get them sick, isolated from others so they don't get us sick. So please, until you see the CDC guidelines, please do not back off your efforts. They are a great effort and we should continue. One thing I said up front, news reports about such things, that is something that brings up to me what is a failing in the news media, that they are happy to report the latest news, but they do not make the effort, they do not seek out experts in order to put that news in context as they report it, so people can not only hear the news, but have a sense of what they should do in response to that news. So if you get a news report that says so-and-so said the virus is dropping in number, leveling off, rather than people having to make their own decisions on what they should be doing, to hear as part of that same report that this doesn't mean that it's okay to go play. This doesn't mean anything that we want to imagine it to mean. We want to get some good context on what it means. And it's not that difficult. It's more work than just throwing out the news, but not just in the context of COVID-19, but all news reports that are potentially inflammatory or misleading, because all they're doing is reporting that news, that happening, that event, without putting it in context. I think that should be the real duty of the news media, not only to throw out the news, but to inform people as well as educate the people, or at least give people enough information to make decisions about it based on the information they're given right there and then. So that's my feeling about that. And I'm going to reiterate, please continue your current efforts or even increase your efforts to keep that isolation going, because that's the surest way to the lowest number of sick people and dead people. Thanks.